welcome back to my channel. I'm Robin, or Hobbit's Reading List, and this week we are going to get ahead of things. Mainly school. But we are going to do it because I am tired of feeling like I'm just scraping by. So, let's just get into it. I say I'm gonna get ahead. I haven't read that much. I have read like 20 pages of this women, gender studies, sexuality introduction textbook that I have to read for one of my classes. I have to read the first 2 units, but that would bring me to like having the book like halfway done. So I'm like, all right, I'll just read it. I may not read it all, in this month, but I will read it. So I read most of the first unit is all about like the different types of feminism, clarification on different terms that show up in women gender studies, as well as talking about like systemic oppression and intersectionality. There we go. So it's stuff that I already knew about, but it's always good to have a refresher. So yeah, I read like 20 pages of that, and that's about it. That's all I read. But today I am planning on starting the audiobook for All Boys Aren't Blue, and I should get like halfway through that because it's a pretty short audiobook. I think it's like 5.5 hours, regular speed. And then tomorrow I'm planning on going to lunch with my friend Stephanie, and we mentioned going to a bookstore where I will get the next book that I need for my banned books class, which is genderqueer. So I will get that, and that shouldn't take me too long because it's a graphic novel. So that's what I mean by getting ahead. But I do also, like, for this unit, I have to, read the first 2 units of that textbook. I have to read like 3 other articles. So as always, this class has just so much reading. And at some point I need to do my like creative nonfiction work as well. Yeah. So that'll be super fun. That's pretty much all I had, but I wanted to make sure I started the vlog on Wednesday instead of waiting until tomorrow. So also today I'm getting pictures done, and so I have an appointment with someone to do makeup for me because I don't do makeup. Once the pandemic hit and I was quarantined for like 4 months, I just stopped. I never went back to wearing makeup. And honestly, I think I'm happier. I was never raised, I was raised by a single father for until I was 13. I never really had a makeup phase. When I did wear makeup, it was just because I felt obligated to, because society. So, and being raised by a single father, he didn't know how to do makeup, and so he never taught me how to do makeup, which is fine. And I just never really learned, and by the time I did kind of learn, I just never was into it. So yeah, so I don't really own any makeup anymore. So in order for me to be able to take good pictures, I have to hire someone to do makeup for me. So, but I did ask her to make it as natural as possible. So here's hoping, because I don't want to look like not me. So we'll see. But yeah, we'll see how that looks. But I will check in tomorrow with my thoughts about All Boys Aren't Blue. Good morning. Okay, the lighting's a little weird because the sun isn't fully up. It's very pretty outside. Let me see if I can show you. There we go. There's some of the clouds. Okay. So, I read some on Wednesday. I did not read anything yesterday, and I was going to film, but boy, I was not in a good mood. Can't explain it, but just pretty much all day I was depressed. Yeah, that just took a lot out of me. And it really, really sucked. But Wednesday, I read 12 pages of the Torah. Yeah. So, still behind. Only by like 2 weeks. You know, right at the end of the cycle. But I also listened to, I think, like 54% of All Boys Aren't Blue. So far, the author, who is also narrating the book, which I think he's doing a pretty good job. He has written, the first half is really about his childhood and growing up queer and black, and how those two things sometimes intersected to make him feel like very isolated where he grew up in New Jersey, or sometimes how part of him was accepted, his blackness was being accepted, but he felt his queerness wasn't. And so it's really, I'm really in, well, it's one of those things of like, it feels weird to say I'm really enjoying this because it's this person's life, but he's a great author. He did a very good job explaining his feelings and how it sort of connects back to his overall goal for writing the book. So I am very interested in the second half, which I will listen to today. So there's no reason I won't finish it. So, because it's fast, but very informative. So yeah, I am really enjoying it. I do have to, at some point this weekend, read my last 2 chapters for my creative nonfiction class because I have an assignment due on Sunday. So I need to ideally probably do that tonight, if not tomorrow. Because I have a little bit of time with my banned books class, because since we're reading 2 books for this next unit, it's not due until the following weekend on the 20th, I believe, which is great. But I'm just like, okay, but that doesn't mean that my creative nonfiction class is working that way. So I need to like switch my brain into like, I have a deadline this week. But yeah, that's about it. That's all I read. I did also go to Barnes & Noble yesterday because I needed, well, I prefer for graphic novels having them in the hard copy. Like, yes, I could have gotten genderqueer on the Kindle, but I don't know how that would have looked, because it's a little bit wider than the traditional book. So I just didn't want the panels to be distorted. So went to Barnes & Noble yesterday to get genderqueer, which I will talk about probably this week. There's no reason I wouldn't read it this week. Essentially, it's a graphic novel about the author's experience being non-binary and asexual, and I wrote this graphic novel as like how to explain to their family about their identities. So yeah, but it should be a quick read. So yeah, that's it. So I will check in later, probably once I've finished All Boys Aren't Blue. Okay. I finished listening to All Boys Aren't Blue, and I really, really liked it. And I know I've already talked about it, so I'm not going to spend that much more time talking about it, but the second half was also like very good, very powerful, and it just makes me so much more curious about the author's life and the author's writing. So I will definitely keep an eye out for more books of his in the future. And yeah, I don't really know what else to say. I really, really liked it. I'm really glad I read it, and I gave it 5 stars, which normally with nonfiction I end up giving it 4 stars, just because nonfiction takes me longer. But this was a memoir, and a very well written one. And so it was not, a huge chore to listen to it. And I also appreciated that the author was the narrator, and he did a pretty good job. I can tell he doesn't like professionally narrate, but like compared to other authors that I've listened to narrate, very good. So yeah, so I thought it was really well done. I gave it 5 stars, and I don't really have anything else to say about it that I haven't already said, so. And then yesterday, Chris and I went to a like Sukkot brunch where it was nice, but also there were so many bees. And I know that that's kind of just part of the holiday, but it's just really stressful. Like trying to eat and be sociable and dodge bees that are just around. And we had someone nearby that was like, insects were like their special interest, and so they're like, they probably won't sting you just because they're just looking for food right now. Like they probably won't sting you, you're totally fine. And like that was comforting, and I don't mind bees, I just don't want them near me. So I'm just like, so Chris and I left like 30 minutes early because I was just like, I turned on, like, are you kind of done? And he's like, yeah. I was like, okay. Because we're both just like, so, but it was nice. And then yesterday when I got home, I was like, well, I have to do homework. So I started reading my creative nonfiction chapters, and I'm so close to being done with the chapters and the book. I'm like, I think I have like 5 or 6 pages left. And I'm just like, last night I'm like, should I just push through and just finish it tonight? And I'm like, yes, but also I'm tired. And like the last 2 chapters are just kind of boring. I can appreciate that the author did the opposite of what I'm used to. Because usually in textbooks, like the first chapter will be about like the history of the field, and then the second chapter will be about like research methods, or flipped. And then every chapter after that is like focused on like specific things. This author, all the chapters up until now were focused on specific things, and then the second to last chapter was research methods, and the last chapter, which I'm on right now, is like ethical considerations for creative nonfiction, which are important. It's just boring. So I will be finishing that today, and then watching the lecture for this week, and then doing the homework assignment today. So unlikely that I will do any additional reading. However, I do have to start the audiobook today for I Am Not Your Perfect Mexican Daughter for my banned books class. So now I'm officially, now I'm officially at the point where I'm getting ahead of the class. I do still have to read Genderqueer, but I think I've mentioned before, it's a graphic novel, like it will not take me that long. So, and also that's not due until next Sunday. So technically I'm still ahead. But feeling better. Looking forward to November where I can pick my own books. That'd be really nice. So yeah. Alright, so that's what's going on. I will check in probably tomorrow with my thoughts on I'm Not Your Perfect Mexican Daughter and my grading on writing creative nonfiction. Okay. It is Monday afternoon. I think it's like 4. I'm not positive. But I'm going to wrap up the vlog. I did finish reading writing creative nonfiction yesterday because I only had like 5 pages left. It's one of those like things where I'm just like, I should have just finished it, but I just couldn't. But I finished it last night, and it's fine. You know, I sort of voiced my issue with it of like, it went pretty much the opposite of any other textbooks that I've read, which in some ways at the beginning was nice because I'm like, okay, cool, we don't have to waste time with that. But then it ended with that, which you just made the last 2 chapters especially just like kind of boring. So yeah, there's that. I gave it 3 stars because I felt like the chapters weren't distinct enough. I felt like some of them could have been combined a little bit. Some of them could have been way more expanded. So it was fine. You know, the author obviously has some credibility, but just overall, I've read other textbooks that I felt were better written. So yeah, I gave it 3 stars. It's fine. And then I did not listen to I Am Not Your Perfect Mexican Daughter yesterday. When I was driving to work, I was just so sleepy. In that, even if I Am Not Your Perfect Mexican Daughter is, you know, super engaging, like, I felt like it still would have made me sleepy. And on my way home, I didn't. So I'll start it Wednesday. That's fine. I've read a pretty good amount this week because I've finished 3 books. That's not bad. Not bad at all. I'll take that compared to, you know, some weeks that I've previously had. So if you've watched this vlog, thank you so much for watching, and I really appreciate it. And we'll just continue getting ahead of things, and eventually, maybe, I can actually get caught up on my reading goal, because I'm 6 books behind. It's fine. It's fine. But please like this video, leave me a comment, subscribe, click the notification bell, and I will talk to you all next week. Bye.